Welcome back to Shabby Shack Studio, friends, as we light a favourite candle and sit down together to create our December BuJo pages. As you can see, I've started off really quite simply this month with a white gel pen on my favourite black cardstock, and we are going to create the Sweetest Forest Friends silhouettes this month. They have such a folklore feel, really quite a simple design, not too much detail, and honestly something that anybody can create. I have a Christmas range called Near and Dear that is dedicated to all these gorgeous little creatures, and it has been so popular with you guys, and I thank you so much for that. And I just feel that my BuJo this month should be a reflection of that. And I love the simplicity of these pieces, just the right amount of detail. Another thing I love about our little forest friends is they're not necessarily only for Christmas. So my wrapping paper has been super popular, and I think one of the reasons is not just that the characters themselves tend to lend us to our childhood memories, Bambi and you know, Fox and the Hound and all these kind of fun Disney classics and books that we love, but I think that they are really wonderful for all year round. So they're not specifically only for Christmas, and they're not gender specific, which is also a wonderful thing. They're wonderful for any member of the family, and they could definitely be used for Christmas and Father's Day, Mother's Day, Easter time, really anything at all. But they do have kind of a very lovely kind of vintage sentimental feel about them, which has captured my heart and obviously has captured yours as well. These silhouettes really are just so simple to sketch. You could actually outline an image if you had one handy, if it was really kind of stressing you out. But honestly, the shape is really is all we're going for here. So I've kind of given my rabbit big kind of fluffy ears, and I've given it a big round belly and kind of a pointy kind of cute little twitchy nose and a fluffy tail. But other than that, it's really just quite a simple shape, mixed in with some of my favorite botanical leaves because we are forest friends. And then I've added that same kind of little vine detail at the top of where the pocket will be. Now the pocket is really quite simple. I just make mine rectangle, so it's a little bit higher than it is wide. You completely could do whatever suited you, and especially obviously measure your handmade journal, and so you know what size you need. Don't go off what's going to suit mine, but what suits yours. And then all I did to create that really kind of gentle kind of arrow shape was just measure the middle and just dropped the horizontal line 1 centimeter in the center. That's it. And I'm going to come in with a sharp craft knife, and I'm going to score that, and then pick up a pair of scissors and just make sure that the edges is really nice and tidy. So you can see me here with my cutting mat. You know, don't want to cut through my textiles and my table. That would be a no-no. So I've just got this sweet little cutting mat that I use all the time. A craft knife, because I'm quite confident with a craft knife. If you're not, or if you're doing this with a child, can I recommend just a pair of scissors or even a guillotine? That would work really well too, and no one's going to have their fingers damaged in the process of creating craft, which is not what we're after at all. And then I am going to simply put in a little stitch detail because, you know, that's how we roll here in the studio. I am going to just rub out those outlines now that my gel pen has dried, and then I'm going to go over to my Nan's vintage Singer machine that I just adore, and I sew everything on this machine in my studio. It is pedal powered, so if you haven't seen this here before, no electricity required. Don't have to worry about having cords strung across the room or any occupational health and safety. It's also all metal and timber, and it is just so strong and beautiful. It's super quiet, but it's absolutely a dream to sew on. And every time I'm stitching on this, it just feels like my Nan, my beautiful beloved Nan, is just at my elbow guiding my hand. So it means everything to me. And so I am just adding this sweet little stitch detail. I'm totally guesstimating this. There's no pencil lines, as you can see. I just wanted to run it along the bottom. I wanted it to be kind of perfectly imperfect as well, so that works out well. And then I am going to just tape that onto a backing card, and that is going to go into my journal, and that's going to be my first cuppa page this month. I'm thinking I need to turn one of these into a sweet little gift card that you guys can print off, and I'll add that to the store. So if there is not a link for you below, don't worry, I'll add one in, so just come back soon. Or hit subscribe and support the channel, and you will know first every time I have added something in and something new. Okay, and of course I'll be ever so grateful. So here you can see I've just come back over to my table, and I'm just marking where it's going to go, because then when I take all of these double-sided tape, when I take all the backs off and I pop that in place, I don't want to rip the card trying to reposition it. So it's always great to have a guide that you can erase. Okay, so you can see this craft tape. I actually found this at just like a dollar store. It's just a narrow double-sided tape, which makes my life so easy. And then I have just picked that up, and I am going to use my guides to position that here, and my cover page slash pocket slash handy hidey hole is going to be done. Now that my pocket is in place, I thought, you know what, I need some little words that are gonna sit above that. So I just decided to put gather near and dear. So I just thought that was a sweet little verse. It looked like it needed something, and I didn't want to put any more leaves or flowers. And didn't I tell you I just create this as we go? I really do create this with you. I just make it up as I go along. If there's a space and I think it needs a space, you're going to see me do this in this entire month. Add a leaf, add a this, add a that. You're going to see me create it. We do it together. Trust me, we do it together. Okay, so I hope you loved the final page, and I'd love to let me know what you put in your pocket if you decide to create one with me. Pop that below. Okay, and then I went backward, because you know that I do that too here, and I thought, you know what, I didn't do my page keeper this month, and I have been forgetting them. So if you've been watching the last few months, I keep forgetting. I do go back and add it, but you just don't end up seeing it. But again, it sticks with the same theme, so it's not the end of the world. Now, I actually decided to grab some of my kind of brown craft paper cardstock and do it with black ink. And it's the same kind of sweet little creatures on this one again, and my leaves. So it's very indicative of what my theme is each month. And I do actually, when I punch these, I punch them a little bit lower. So the top of these sit out at the top of my page. I'll get it yet, falling over my tongue. The page keeper sits higher than my page. So if I need to find my month or any notes or anything in particular in a hurry, I can actually grab the page keeper and just flip straight through to that space. So for me, I just love these. Now, I've seen people do some really creative things in their bullet journals and cutting pages and all those kind of things. But here on this channel, we create our own journal. And then we create all of our pages to suit us. We create the size, we create with whatever paper we want, we create what pages we feel we need, we do it all together, and we get super, super creative. And in fact, if there's any pages that you think you would love, so there you can see me popping it in the pocket. So if there's any pages that you feel like you would love some inspiration on, again, pop that below, and I will work something up, and I will make sure I include that for you. So that will be fun. Let me know what you'd like to see more of. Okay. And next up we have a dual page spread, our month at a glance. And I have divided my month once again into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on one page, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the other, and then room for some notes and things like that. Because let's face it, there's always some important things that we need to end up remembering to do, things that crop up, and Christmas time, wow, it's as good a time as any to need a notes page, that's for sure. So I follow along from November through to December, and even I start in January. I start the new year in January because it's always so hectic and we need to make those plans as soon as we possibly can. As you can see, lots of freehand squares here. I have done a pencil sketch to kind of give myself a guide, but then that's all. I mean, I change it as I go. You can see that I've moved the squares and things around, so it's all part of the fun. The pencil lines are just a guide, 100% just a guide, and then I kind of feel my way with you guys, see what I feel looks nice and what needs to, you know, have an extra leaf here or whatever it may be. Once again, you can see my little stag here featured at the bottom, so I've got a little bit of my little forest friends here and some leaves. I'm having a rabbit, and there'll be a fox on the other page because I thought, you know what, I haven't added a fox yet. So this is really quite a fun one. I've left it go quite live, and you can see me adding little bits and pieces because I think it's important that we do create this together, and I want you to see how I'm doing it and how I'm adding in the page, and it's not too specific and it's not overthought, because our journal really does need to be an expression of us, and it needs to be fun. So you can see, like, these leaves, anybody could do that. Just a little bit of a wobble, a little bit of a shape on some little stems, a little flower here and there. And then I've gone back and just added in my my dates, and I've just used this really cute little kind of short, fat, wide font, which I think is fun. It feels a little bit playful, which is lovely too, and I think that that's lovely with this folklore style forest scene. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to pop some music on so that you don't listen to me talk the entire time, because you'll be like, oh my gosh, I wish she would shut up. So you really can see me coming back in with a pencil and adding an extra little leaf, an extra little flower, just having a play and making this. I wanted it to be quite full. I wanted the leaves to be kind of all surrounded through the little squares, just so that I just thought it had a really lovely feel. And it definitely goes, that outlines definitely go with our little forest theme, and it's, you know, it's fun. Okay, and then I've gone over to my second page of this two-page spread, and I'm going to fast forward this one because it's, you know, you'll be bored stiff else. So you can see I've got the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've left lots of room there for notes, adding in my forest friends, and keeping the same theme, but just having the black and white, which I think is fun. I like to have a blend of pages in my journal. And actually, now that we're saying that, I actually use quite a huge range of papers. So I'll use the black cardstock, which is quite a thick 280 GSM. The page keeper in the brown craft paper, that's actually from the same book, and it's a mixed media, and it has a grey and a white as well, which is what you're looking at here. Sometimes I'll use digital silk papers because they're particularly lovely to use with Copic markers. I will use watercolour papers quite often. That's a super popular one for me because then I can add in a whole lot of watercolour elements. And if you're thinking you haven't seen any yet, just keep watching, because we have a colour palette at the end, and that is on one of my favourite watercolour pads, one by Mont. We are really careful with budget here on this channel because I don't like to think that creativity is only for people that can afford it. I like to think that this is something that we can do any time of the day, any budget, any age. It's lovely to have the children do this too. It actually would be a really fun way to get little ones interested in kind of keeping a schedule and kind of keeping organized, which would just be a wonderful thing and a great bonus for them when they get to school age. It helps them kind of keep themselves accountable, and maybe a mindfulness journal is nice because, let's face it, being at school is tough. And, you know, making them, you know, kind of encouraging them to be grateful for what they see and grateful for who they are and the special things that they bring to the world, and not have to feel that they have to do something just because everybody else is doing it, whatever the reason. But it's a great way to help them be organized. You know, good habits start when children are young. So definitely something that I would like to know if you do this with your children. I really do think it's a fun way to be creative together, and sometimes it's a good way to stop having to always be, you know, mom that has to say no. Just do something that's fun together, and I do believe that we need to parent before we need to be their friend, but I do think that it's important to have times when you just get to be fun and enjoy something together and not have to be don't do that, and, you know, always be the parent. So it gives you a break as well, and it gives them a break, and it builds, you know, wonderful relationships. And let's face it, that's when they get to teenage years. Those relationships are so important. If they feel that they can talk to you, and maybe that's your time that you talk together when you're creating, because that's a time when there's maybe less strict boundaries, and kind of, this is mum and this is, you could just get to be fun and friendly and chat about whatever, the stupid stuff, the big stuff, the little stuff, and everything in between. And to that end, I then turned over my month at a glance in the white page, the second page, and I thought, you know what, I just want a page just for the fun of it. So I decided to do an oh dear page with my little stag in the center of this lovely little laurel wreath. To me, it feels like it's a mistletoe wreath. So, but, you know, again, you could call it whatever you want. You could turn it into holly if you wanted to do that. I started adding these little berries and then just really, really loved them. So I thought that's fun, and it feels Christmassy to me. But again, it feels all year long to me as well. So that's always nice. And it has that same kind of nostalgic, timeless feel, which I think is fun. I think I might turn this one into a little printable, so something that you could print off and, you know, say a thank you to a teacher or a gift for a friend. You could turn it into a Christmas card. So stay tuned for that. I will link it below once it's ready, and I will pop it on my website for you to download. So that will be fun. Yeah, so you can see, again, anybody could do this. I actually used a roll of sticky tape. Well, I actually used the roll of double-sided tape that I used for the pocket. And because, of course, the core of it is cardboard, but it's quite flexible, I just kind of just squished it a little bit and laid it on the page until I was kind of happy with an ovally shape. And I just put a really light pencil kind of mark there in the center of my page, just to give me a little bit of an idea on the oval so that it would keep its shape. And then I just freehanded my sweet little stag, and you'll notice each of their antlers are always all different, every single one of them, because they're all freehand. Put some little spots on the back, and whether or not that's more of a deer and less of a stag, I don't know. I don't know, but I think it's cute and it's indicative, and it makes it feel like you can see better what that image is, even though it's a majority of it is just an outline with very little detail. But again, and then just added these little leaves randomly, and overlapped them and added berries and a little bow at the bottom. And I really think this is fun. I mean, you could have so much fun with this. You could use string, you could use jute, ribbon if you wanted to add a little tie. You could use some hot glue and turn this into a whole range of sweet Christmas cards. Really anything at all. And I just think it is, it turned out even better than I pictured in my head. So, how's that? I think that that's a wonderful win. And then I simply just did this freehand font, which I thought was fun, and then just turned it to the side and added a little bit of shading. I actually did cross hatching this month. So I actually just put some little lines in one direction and then turned it and did a little lines in the opposite direction. So literally like little tic-tac-toe kind of thing, if you'd imagine, lots of little crosses. But it created this sweet little kind of hatching, and I just think it was lovely and it was fun and it was something different, which again is always a wonderful thing. Okay, and then I turn the page over and we turn this into a weekly spread. And again, instead of having, really set boxes or shapes that have to be, define the days of the week, I thought, what, I'm just going to do kind of a little forest theme, then where the creatures are kind of ambling about, and then there's this kind of clearings in the forest, and that is where my details for that day is going to go. So I did something similar for my cactus one in November, and I really loved it, and it's been fun to use, so I thought this would be fun. And I added in the banners because to me it just feels like they go together. So that's going to have my days of the week inside and the actual date, and I'll just kind of put some things there in bullet points. Don't forget, I did have a note section that's quite big on my month at a glance. So I've got loads and loads of room to kind of write notes and stuff in. And then of course, because it's a handmade journal, I can add page whenever I like to add additional lists and keep me on track if I need to. That is the wonderful thing about having a handmade journal. It's 100% however you want it to be, and you can add whatever pages, whatever mediums. You could add, printed paper. You could add anything at all. You could have grid paper and plain paper and, whatever it is that you love. You can, and you never have to worry that you've missed a page or you've run out of space, because you could just add in whatever you like. Now that does also mean that if somebody gives you a lovely card or, like a lovely verse or something or other like that, you can always add that in too. And it's always nice to have something that inspires you and makes you smile. So, and my journals, I keep all of them so I can look back at them, years later if I want to, for something that's inspiration or just, to remember a wonderful moment or anything at all really, but I never throw them out. So they are something that is quite nice, and it captures my life because I do put all of my details. I use this just like a journal. I put all of the details from my week and my days. It keeps me on track. And then it gives me the perfect excuse to sit down in the evening and add in extra weekly spreads. So I don't do them all in one sitting. I do one or two, and then I'll add some more during the week as the days and the weeks, unfold. But it's a fun thing to do when you're watching telly and you're sitting down in the evening and you feel like being creative, or just do another weekly spread and you've already kind of thought through the tough part of what the theme is going to be or whatever, and you just can follow along and really just enjoy the process. Okay, and just simply added in the days of the week, like I said, added the date on kind of the little ribbon on the corner, and I'm just adding a little bit of shading in just to make some of those little leaves and things pop, just to add a little bit of, a little bit of energy and a little bit of detail and character to the page. Something that you can do or don't need to do, it's up to you. And I'm using the cross hatching once again. You'll have to let me know too what you think of my little fox in the corner. So I was really kind of like, wow, how am I going to have this shape without having too much detail? Kind of added in his cute little fluffy tail. There's some cute little birds here and there, and they actually feature in my near and dear range as well. So I thought that was a bit fun. Lots of random little leaves and berries and little details, which are always fun. And there you go, there's a close-up for you before we turn the page and do my colour palette. Now, this is something that I've been adding for now the longest time. It's one of my favourite pages. Quite often it runs with the theme of the month. So you can see on my palette there in the top right corner, I was actually painting a whole lot of Christmas cards and things at the same time or around the same time, so I didn't clean off my palette because I just hate that. I hate throwing away the paint. So I'll just wet that down and use that again for future cards. So there are more coming. If you've been looking and following along, there are more coming this month. Anyway, I thought, you know what, I had all this little idea and I thought, you know, I love this. I'm going to do some little squares. I'm just going to have something that's more structured. Normally I don't. Normally it's far less structured than this. But I thought, you know what, hey, do something a bit different. So I thought what I'll do is I'm going to actually name the color. So you can see I'm painting over the kind of pencil marks that I put in when I was thinking about the colors and where they're going to go. And then I'm making the first square, obviously the darkest or the deepest hue of color, and then I'm watering it down on the subsequent squares to lessen the amount of paint and the depth of color as I go. Now, because I've offset them as well, it means that the ochre at the top and then the I think it's a burnt sienna that is below it. The burnt sienna is offset slightly. So anyway, it was a really fun project. I'm going to pop some music on for this too, but I do speed through it a little bit so you don't get too bored. But it was really quite fun to do, and I put all my browns and my ochre and my gold. I put the gold at the end and a Paynes grey because it just feels like these would be the colours for for a forest, and they really are the colours that I have used in the near and dear range. So I've kept everything really quite neutral. There's lots of kind of taupes and browns and kind of beigey greys. So it is all listed on my website. There is a link to my website below. So if you would like to see more, just pop over there and let me know what you think. And here you are, you can see that I'm just using my ruler just for the top edge, and then I'm just free-handing the square. I wanted it to look a little bit loose and not too structured after obviously I had put little pencil lines in to give me an idea where I was going, and I did want these sweet little squares, but you know, I can only go so structured before it does my head in. So you can see there I've added the colours in, like I said, the burnt sienna and the yellow ochre, Paynes grey, and all of the rest. And I will link them for you below, so don't worry, all the colours will be added, all the supplies will be added, links to the website, all the things you can see in the image, all those kind of things. And if I miss anything, you know, you can always ask me. I wanted to say thanks so much for being here. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you soon.